Welcome to another edition of the Bear Facts. I'm Kyle Lacey at ExactTarget, and this is Jay Bear. Jay is in Bloomington, as you can see, in his Convince and Convert headquarters. How are you doing, Jay?
I'm pretty good, and you?
I'm doing good. Your feed is really clear, like it's really fast. I feel like I'm standing in the room with you.
I got new bandwidth here at Convince and Convert Global HQ. My stupid kids were killing my Wi-Fi, and so I finally had to re-architect the entire system. And I now have a commercial-grade Cisco router here in the home office because it's gotten to the point where we had too many simultaneous connections.
You know how some countries limit birth rates, right, for families? I think that I'm going to think about that in terms of how many connections I have on my Wi-Fi router. So I'm going to talk to my wife.
My new router actually has a QoS system, so quality of service, so I can set it up so 90% of the bandwidth is reserved for Bear Facts, and only 10% of the bandwidth is reserved for Minecraft or whatever they're doing. So I can actually have a little dial over here,
That's awesome.
That'll teach them.
Definitely. Today we're talking about a little idea, and was this an article? Was it on?
I think so. I think maybe Read Right. Yeah.
Read Right, where somebody mentioned the possibility, not the possibility, but the idea that PayPal should buy Foursquare. And I've had some conversations with PayPal just about some of the location-based stuff that they're producing and releasing in different countries in terms of somebody's ability to check into a place and then pay for it all through PayPal. But it is actually an interesting concept of PayPal buying Foursquare. So Jay, what do you think about that?
Well, one of the things that PayPal is trying to do is put these have retailers take this little module that gets plugged into a wall, and it's a Bluetooth sensor, and so it will find phones that have their Bluetooth open and actually alert you and say, "Hey, this location takes PayPal. You should pay with PayPal," which is an interesting kind of shot across the bow in this big fight over who's going to be in charge of mobile payments. Is it Apple? Is it PayPal? Is it Square?
Right.
Is it MasterCard? Is it Verizon? I mean, there's a lot of people trying to play that game. Is it Google? So it's interesting that they would go that approach. But what Readwright was saying in this article, I think, makes a heck of a lot of sense. Foursquare already knows when you're checking in. So if you're checking in and you know that is a PayPal-enabled location, you can tie that into the check-in process. And you can very easily put payments into the existing Foursquare infrastructure. You already have all the location data. You already have a relatively large user base. And as we've talked about on the Bear Facts in the past, the business model going forward for Foursquare is a little murky, right? They've kind of moved away from the check-in as the real rationale to trying to be a very real-time, more hip version of Yelp reviews. But I think this payment element could really be a key differentiator for them. Not to mention the fact, actually, now that I'm thinking about this in real time, I don't know what the dollars would look like in that, but why wouldn't PayPal buy Yelp?
Right. Well, why wouldn't PayPal look at any type of location? I mean, Yelp, yeah, for sure.
Because you've got a lot of people, more and more people are checking into Yelp as well, and doing things like that. So it's interesting. It seems to me like they could get a real leg up in this whole check-in tied to payments if you just buy somebody who's already got the check-ins part handled.
Well, why wouldn't Facebook? You think Facebook's going to fly into m-commerce? You think they're going to do that since you can now check into places via Facebook, right?
Well, yeah, but they had Facebook check-ins years ago, right? And they killed it. They basically sunset it, and they had f-commerce, and now that's kind of fallen by the wayside. So. Yeah, I certainly assume that at some point they had Facebook credits, and that kind of sunsetted too. So Facebook has had at least 3 fairly significant bites at the commerce apple, all of which failed, partially I think because they didn't put a tremendous amount of emphasis on it because they really needed to ramp up the ad side. You got to believe that eventually they're going to get there, but they have so many other ways to make money that are conceivably easier than commerce that I still always feel like it becomes a secondary thing, kind of riding shotgun in the strategic play for Facebook. But to me, if somebody like that is going to get into m-commerce, it would be Twitter.
Absolutely.
Because of and we look at things like Chirp, right, which I don't think we've talked about here before, but Chirp is an amazing startup, that allows you to pay with a tweet. So if you want to buy a copy of my book or Jeff Rohr's new book or one of your books, or you want to buy a record, or you want a record, Jesus. How old is that guy? If you want to buy a record, if you want to buy one of them real tape.
Actually, I think the records are kind of hipster now, man.
They're back. That's true. They're back now.
Yeah.
They're back. So if you want to buy something, coffee, you can just do it with a tweet, right? You can just say, pay $5, and it actually happens.
Right.
And, you think about what that could be at scale. Pretty interesting. I'll tell you what. I would be glad to never reach for a credit card,
Absolutely.
much less money, much less a check. Although I can't even tell you the last time I wrote a check. But I would be delighted to pay for everything with a tweet, other than say vasectomies.
Well, can you? What about Never mind. That we're done with that. Well, that's why I use Uber. Right? It's easy.
Yeah.
It's all through mobile. That's
Yeah.
another addition.
And no tipping. No tipping on Uber. You just kind of handle it. It's easy.
And we will not be paying for vasectomies via mobile phone. So thank you for that.
Hey, there's your headline for this episode. Pay for vasectomies via tweet.
That's another edition of Bare Facts. Thanks, Jay.